Well, hello. I apologize for being a couple of minutes late to, the life of a writer first. We did the post game, we did the PHN Plus report card, and now we're here. And I see 8 of you were queued up and waiting. Much appreciated. Let me do one quick thing. I think I see a little bit of a cloud, so I'm going to just clean my camera a hair here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, me clearer is not always a good thing, is it? Well, anyway, hey, I appreciate you. We're going to do the Pittsburgh Penguins post game here as they knock off the Washington Capitals 4-2 at the Capital One Arena. And I apologize that I'm not in D.C. I am actually here in Pittsburgh because the Penguins play Saturday night against Anaheim at PPG Paints Arena. Now, there's a couple things I want to do to break down the game. It was actually kind of nice. I wrote the report card in about 30 minutes. I thought I had a good handle on the game. And then Mike Sullivan essentially backed up everything that I said. So it was very good, actually. Hey, how is the sound? Is it good? Is the sound okay? I kind of see it's not registering very well. Let me move a little bit closer. And you can see my family photos over my shoulder there. And wait, where is it? There. That trophy, believe it or not, is a Demolition Derby trophy from 2001 when I was working in radio. The station I was working for threw me into the Fayette County Fair Demolition Derby. And darn if I didn't do pretty well. So that's my demo derby story. I got a trophy to prove it, and I won the fan favorite too because I was a complete and total ham after the event. So let's get to the Penguins thing. I wish I could pull in some still shots and screenshots, but because I'm doing this on the laptop, I'm not able to. So forgive me. I'll have to use my hands. And you know what I can do? Hang on. I have no idea where I put the markers, probably back in the office downtown. I do have the sheet, so I can diagram some plays a little bit for you here. Because I think what the Penguins did tonight is important. How do I share this, by the way? While I do this, please feel free to comment and throw your post-game thoughts at me as well. But getting back to Mike Sullivan and my report card, Sullivan really just gave the quotes, which perfectly dovetailed to what I saw as well, which always makes my life a little bit easier. Now, Washington was not great on the forecheck, in part because the Penguins defensemen are quick. There's no question that the Penguins defensemen can avoid the forecheck. Now, by doing that, obviously you get to the next level, the second level, center ice, much more quickly. That's where the Penguins, I think, excelled. Washington made a mistake in the first period. Washington played a gap that was about that big. Their defensemen were tight to the Penguins' forwards at the red line, trying to blunt that speed rush. That works if your forecheck is effective. In the first period, especially, the Penguins' breakouts were just crystal. They were beauties. There was tons of puck support. There was speed out of their zone, and what that means that begins to build a twofold problem for the Capitals and a twofold advantage for the Penguins. One, you've got speed coming to center ice. Now, because the Capitals defensemen were playing so tight to that first wave of forwards, the F1 and the F2, or even sometimes 2-on-1, two defensemen just guarding the F1 very tight. The Penguins' speed out of their zone created pressure on the Capitals' defense. And the Capitals do not have a great blue line. They, let's call it average. So that's one aspect. The second aspect of that is the Penguins' defensemen activated in a meaningful and impactful way on Friday night. the Penguins defensemen got ahead of the Capitals forecheckers out of their own zone. So as, let's say, Kuznetsov or Wilson or Eller or any of the Capitals came flying in, the Penguins went flying out. And now all of a sudden, the Penguins defensemen have the freedom and the almost responsibility to join the rush. So you saw John Marino play one of his best games tonight. A lot of attention will be paid to Kasperi Kapanen. A lot of attention will be paid, to Sidney Crosby and even Evan Rodriguez, who led all players with 6 shots on goal. But I thought John Marino and Mike Matheson also played their strongest games, maybe their strongest games of the season. Both joined the rush effectively and frequently, but did so responsibly. And that was created in part by getting ahead of the Capitals' forecheck. So the Capitals are chasing the Penguins defensemen up the ice, and you have those moments, 1, 2, 3 moments where the Penguins defensemen then are the extra stick, the extra attacker, and they had numbers. They had, 4-on-3s, 3-on-2s. And because the Penguins played a tight gap, well, now they created a lot of turnovers. The Penguins defensemen can play that tight gap a little better than the Capitals can play that tight gap. So those turnovers at center ice, I think I counted 6 odd man rushes in the first period. And that would be a trio of 2-on-1s, Evan Rodriguez's breakaway, a couple 3-on-2s, and even a 3-on-1. So I guess that's 7. I didn't really count Evan Rodriguez's breakaway as an odd man rush. But that's, that's all part of it. And just to diagram it very simply, I know this isn't exactly a hockey chalkboard, so you'll have to forgive me. Well, you don't have to forgive me. I asked you to forgive me. So when you have, the F1, F2, and even the F3 with the D going against, it's a little sloppy. But, when you have the D, actually, I guess the D was often up here, would be on, your right wing. But when you have those, that 4 coming with speed and maybe, let's say another forward right here, you have numbers. You have opportunities. And the Penguins did very well to create and to convert those opportunities. I can't say enough good things about what the Penguins' top line did. Even without Jake Gensel, it was pretty special. I'm trying to figure out how to share this, and I cannot figure for the life of me how to do it. There. So bear with. Oh, wait, did I do it? Okay, so keep those comments. Get those comments over there on the right side. I'm curious what you thought. Now I can, in fact, share this and say we are live now with the Pens postgame. Okay, sorry about that. Please, again, forgive me. Where are we? There we are. Okay. Is everything working? Seems to be. Okay, there we go. I am live, in fact. I was a little worried. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'm encouraging more of our writers to do these sorts of live post-game chats, live weekly chats. So if you're coming from Washington, Sammy Silber did a great job on the keyboard tonight. If you're coming there to help us break down the game, we appreciate you, because this NHN channel stands for National Hockey Now, and that is the entire network. It started here in Pittsburgh, but it's now grown to 15 sites. And I think we have 2 more big fish coming into the pond, verbally agreed to, but I've learned never to say the names until verbal agreement becomes signed contract agreement. And actually, we also lost a writer today. someone poached him, gave him a real big time sort of job. We'll let you know who that was. We're really happy for him. It's probably maybe more in line with his skill set than being a hockey beat writer. It allows him to do some of the other things that he does very well and enjoys. So we're really happy for that. And I'll tell you who that is in the coming days. So there are my thoughts on exactly how the Penguins exploited the Capitals. I thought it was a tactical mistake. I also think Mike Sullivan has Peter Laviolette's number. I just think Laviolette's forecheck and Laviolette's system, I think Sullivan just cracks the book open and says, okay, boys, we're doing this tonight. And generally speaking, I think Mike Sullivan gets the best of his fellow American coach, Laviolette. Although Laviolette could become the second American coach to win 2 Stanley Cups, because the Capitals are really good. And I cannot fathom that the Capitals will stand pat with the blue line that they have. I think they're going to add some defensemen. Hey, real DK. That cracks me up. I can't always dive into those waters and say what I really think sometimes. And, I do appreciate it. I get the tongue in cheek. Do I like Cappy with Sid? I didn't think I would. Tonight, I certainly did. Here's Kapanen's biggest issue. He can do things in fits and spurts and jumps and starts and in short bursts. Can he play this way for more than a couple or a few weeks? Can he begin to play this way day in, day out, game in, game out? Can he do this? And I think that is the biggest question mark around Kasperi Kapanen. Look, the Toronto Maple Leafs knew what they had. They knew they had a special player, or a player who could be special, but they also knew they had a player who could just disappear into Ontario. They also knew that they didn't necessarily trust him. They also knew that they didn't want to pay him above some of the other players who did perform and could perform on a nightly basis. So that's how the Penguins wound up with him. That and giving up a first-round pick. Yes, I liked Kasperi Kapanen tonight. I liked that was one of the things that I had written, and then Sullivan just kind of used my exact words, and which was always nice. Wait, I guess I'm going to go this way, a little bit this, or maybe I'll go this way. Get back to settle. Doesn't matter. Because Kapanen was strong on his skates, I thought in all 3 zones. He really attacked the puck, via back check and forecheck. Especially, I actually thought he got better as the game went on. In the first period, I was like, I didn't know that I wasn't enamored with parts of his game in the, first 10 minutes, first 15. But then I think he really settled in. And the difference with Kapanen, here, I'll pull up my little chart here. Here's the Capitals' goal here. Kapanen has been just pulling up here at the mid-wall, actually kind of down here out of the play. He's been racing in and stopping right here. And that kind of creates a dead zone in the play. Just it's a train wreck. It's the emergency brake. By continuing to play forward, he was playing around here tonight. And that's, get between the dots, play in the dirty zones, get out here. That's where goals happen, especially when you play with Sidney Crosby, who is one of the greatest of all time of scoring goals within 3 and 5 feet of the net. So Kapanen maybe was pulled into that game. You pull up on the mid wall or stay on the perimeter with Crosby, he's going to tell you about it pretty quickly. And so I liked Kapanen's game quite a bit. I'll tell you what, I also like Evan Rodriguez's game. Watch Rodriguez. Just ISO on him for a little bit. And I'm not a guy who likes to dish too much praise because, today's praise has to become tomorrow's criticism. And everyone's like, well, you praised him, you like him or whatever it might be. I try to, this is a moving train, right? What I say today isn't necessarily true a week from now or a month from now. It is, a constantly moving train. Watch Evan Rodriguez and watch him closely. He is playing spectacular hockey. He is Dominic Simone who can finish. Kapanen is Dominic Simone with a bit more offensive firepower, a bit quicker, maybe a little higher. I don't want to call it a hockey IQ, but he certainly is a little more gifted in the hands department. But he does those same things that Dominic Simone does, those little plays on the wall, those little ups, and then joins the play at full speed. He, on the wall, Rodriguez makes some plays, but he also creates time and space, which is kind of unique for a guy who's all of 5'10". What is he, a buck 80? Maybe a buck 85. We won't get into splitting hairs there. What Kapanen can do, or not Kapanen, what Rodriguez has been doing, in addition to creating space, which obviously helps Sidney Crosby and whoever the other winger is, but he's also been finding that space. Look, Kapanen stole that puck in the first period, and Rodriguez broke on that for the breakaway before Kapanen was even, had his stick on the puck. Kapanen saw what was happening and just went. That's really reading the play. So Rodriguez is doing those things very well too. Ryan asks, should Heinen stay in the top 6 after all the injured players are back? And that's probably a decided no. Heinen is a nice offensive pop on the 3rd or 4th line. The Jeff Carter line was not great on Friday night. That's continuing a trend. You move Kapanen off the line, you think, oh, well, they're going to get better. But no, the Jeff Carter line was outchanced by Washington. They had only one high danger chance. That was Heinen's goal. I don't think there's a problem there. If that's because the Penguins are wearing out Big Jeff Carter on the penalty kill, if that's because Carter's 36 and maybe getting a little beat up, I don't know. Maybe it's Jason Zucker and Carter's chemistry. I can't put my finger on it. That line, listen, that line did some great things in the first 10 minutes. They actually got to their cycle game. And I haven't seen Carter do that much at all this season. But he and Zucker were cycling. They held the puck down low. They forced the Capitals to come down and play defense. And whenever you can force, Evgeny Kuznetsov or the Capitals players like Daniel Sprong, who got a bit of a tongue lashing from his coach tonight for not playing defense. What are the odds? And Connor Sherry and crew, when you can force them to play backward, you've got a big advantage. You've got a huge advantage. However, for unknown reasons, the Carter line stopped doing that. They stopped cycling. They stopped playing hard and stopped playing down low, which I thought greatly limited their effectiveness. They've had rush chances, but those one-offs, that's all they are. They are one-offs. And as we've seen, you can pop a couple of odd man rushes or rush chances, but the reality is goalies stop most chances they see. Unless you can get between the dots in that 20-foot area with a clean look, the goalie's going to stop it. So these rush chances are thrilling or a moment of a burst of excitement. But then the play continues the other way. Offensive pressure doesn't follow their rush chances. And that's a huge problem because that sustained pressure is what builds and builds to a goal. That's what makes the other team expend energy. That's what makes the Penguins hard to play against. That's everything that they need, and they're not getting from the Jeff Carter second line. Please, Penguins, Jesus, don't kill me. Please and thanks. I think that issue will be resolved when Evgeny Malkin is back in the lineup. And Ray Ferraro used a term I haven't heard in a while: stretched out. Yeah, some stretch out time. And yeah, Malkin's going to need a month, 6 weeks to stretch out into the lineup. February is not going to be helpful. Maybe Malkin goes to the Olympics and uses the Olympics to stretch out. That might be the best case scenario for the Penguins. But I think maybe Carter going to the third line will help. Also, it will help Teddy Bluger, Zach Aston Reese, and Brock McGinn too. Yes, they had a goal tonight. Yeah, they had a couple good chances. But I think by and large, that line is a bit overmatched as a third line. As a third line, they're mediocre. And in this case, it kind of surprises me because as a third line last year with Brandon Tanev, I thought they were pretty good. They were a solid third line. This year with Brock McGinn, who I think maybe is in some ways a better player than Brandon Tanev, in some ways, in other ways he's not. I think they're on the wrong side of the puck as the Penguins' third line. If they get bumped back to fourth line, then we know that they're one of the best fourth lines in the game. What they can do. You chip in 10 goals from the fourth line, you're heroes. You chip in 10 goals from the third line, you're zeros. That's something that I think is something at least I'm going to be keeping an eye on. If the Penguins do start shopping on the NHL trade market, that's going to be where they go. Perhaps backup goalie, but I think they're going to have to fortify their middle six. Simon, how are you, brother? Is O'Connor improving? No, I don't think so. I think O'Connor has regressed to the mean, which isn't a terrible thing. I think he is a borderline NHL player. I think he's a 13th forward kind of guy. He had that surge. We talk about the adrenaline rush for new players in their first 10 games. P.O. Joseph last year being a prime example. And when that wears off, when the grind begins, when coming to the rink every day, you take that deep breath. Okay. And that excitement level kind of subsides. Then you find out what you really have. After that subsided with Drew O'Connor, we saw what kind of player he is. He's a nice player. He's not heads and shoulders above Anthony Angelo. He's kind of maybe more in that category, maybe a little better, a little more versatile than Angelo. But that's kind of where I see O'Connor. They actually, the Penguins' fourth line tonight. Let me grab the natural stat trick. Oh, I paged away from it. The fourth line tonight did not have a scoring chance. Of course, they also didn't allow a scoring chance. So I guess, I read nope. Natural stat trick does not have the Penguins' fourth line tonight. They've got a hodgepodge of lines, but not the standard fourth line. So I take that back. I cannot say that they created zero scoring chances because we don't know. All right. Hey, do me a favor. While I see more people hopping in, it's always like half an hour after I start, people start showing up. Subscribe, like the video, and if you could, share it. We appreciate that. Here is the Pittsburgh, the PHN Plus report card. And I'm going to post this right here for you. I can't show you the screen. We're kind of working bare bones tonight. And that's just because of the game that, ended. But there is the PHN Plus report card. It's kind of nice. I'm talking a lot about this already. And I hope that you subscribe. I hope that you join the PHN Plus family. In fact, here, let me give you the coupon code. If you go here, you get a full year of PHN Plus, not for $29.99, but for $19.99. Give me one quick second here, because we keep it private. Somebody found it. We had it kind of public, but unpublished or unlinked to the rest of the website, and somebody found it and passed it around, and we had literally a dozen people sign up for these for our sales. We actually kept them. We sent them a note saying, "Hey, you found it. Good job. Keep it. Just stick around, please, and thank you." Here it is. There's our link. Dun, dun, dun. Where are we? There we are. Okay, so there's the coupon code to read the report cards, the exclusive stories, some of the trade reports, some of the national stories that we do, all behind the PHN Plus paywall. You've kept us going. Okay, so I have broken down the Penguins' rush and their odd man rushes. We've already praised. Give me a second here. We've praised Mike Matheson and John Marino already tonight. If you joining us late, here I'll show this to you. Just what the Penguins were able to do with speed out of their own zone, with some very crisp breakouts, good puck support. They had numbers traveling in packs. Tonight was very different as the defenseman. Actually, let me do this right, because I put the D on the wrong side. We're gonna put the D here so it looks right on the screen, because this would be the right wing. And you saw, John Marino, especially Marino joining the rush. There was a play in the third period that I thought really encapsulated how well John Marino played tonight, in which it was a 3-on-2, and he swept around the right wing, was looking for the pass. Well, the defenseman never thought that John Marino would continue about that pass or that path, so he took away the pass. Marino realized this, and you saw a little kind of giddy up, and he just blew past the defenseman towards the net. At this point, the second defenseman kind of comes over and takes away Marino's charge towards the net. In normal instances, this is where the defenseman loses the puck. This is where the Penguins, traveling in numbers forward, get caught behind the play, and the opposing team has an odd man rush against you. However, Marino did something very slick, a little bit Jaromir Jagr-esque, actually. He opened his hips, pivoted, kind of used his legs and his hips to shield the puck, picked his head up as he pivoted, and found an open Penguin. It was a really slick move. It was a play that kept offensive possession. It was a play that kept the play going. And it's one of those little just individual efforts of a player, doing the right thing, but also maybe going a little beyond what you normally see. And Marino did that, I thought, tonight. By activating, the Penguins had more offensive pressure. I don't think Washington really ever got to their game. Maybe the final 10 minutes, the Penguins were trying to protect a lead. I thought after Washington got their first goal, I'm like, okay, here comes that red wave. And it was for a minute or two, but it wasn't the pronounced, vociferous, suffocating sort of attack that Washington is infamous or famous for. Perhaps missing Tom Wilson played a little bit of a role, and perhaps not having Nick Backstrom. But then again, there's the Penguins. I don't think the Penguins are going to shed any tears for any other teams missing players in their top six. What the Penguins have done this season, games like tonight make you say, wow, this team really does have a chance if they get healthy and if they can kind of make it all click when they get healthy. But then they play games like they did in Edmonton and Calgary, when you're like, this is a barely a playoff team. So I don't know quite where the Penguins stand. When I see them do this to a division opponent, I raise an eyebrow. When I see them do this to a good team, I think it speaks well, especially when you see Evan Rodriguez continue about his path. When you see Kasperi Kapanen step up, now we have to watch Kapanen. He's a great danger to regress. or get off the tracks. But Rodriguez, I think, is just enjoying the hell out of this season, and I don't think you could pry it from him. I don't think you could pry it from his cold dead hands. Quite frankly, he's going to have a career year. He is. I think. Did he have any points tonight? Yeah. Rodriguez had 1 assist. So Evan Rodriguez is now 1 point away from scoring 20 points, which kind of gets him into a certain level he's not been at a lot in his career. And you're like, what? It's game 26. How can that be? But it's he's gonna set career highs this year going away. Of course, as I say, that would knock on the kitchen table or the wooden table. I mean, that we're doing this on, and that's to avoid the injury bug that now heard me say that. I apologize, Evan, or Erod, as me and Jim Colony like to call him. From JC, Dan, Caps and Pens have some older 30-something players and still playing at a high level. You think more teams will emulate the Caps and Pens, having veterans, skill, talent instead of being too young? No, I don't. The Penguins in 2016 just destroyed the veteran model. The Penguins destroyed that model, and the entire league said, we need these new players with all these new skills and all these new edge work techniques, and we need all of these guys who skate like the wind. And those are the younger players. Those are the guys coming into the league. Those are not the veterans. Look, JC, the Penguins and the Capitals are veteran teams because they just happen to have all-world veterans from Kuznetsov and Backstrom and Ovechkin. Wilson is 26, 27. He and Kuznetsov both in the mid-20s, later 20s. So I guess I can't call them 30-somethings. But with Ovechkin, Backstrom, Carlson, who else am I missing on the Capitals? TJ Oshie. Oshie was quiet tonight against the Penguins. He's never quiet against the Penguins. Ever, never, ever. But he was pretty quiet, I thought, tonight. And, of course, the Penguins 30-somethings with Crosby, Malkin, Letang. You just don't let those players go. And that's why both sides have 30-somethings. It's not necessarily because they chose to add old players. It's just because they've kept great players, if that makes any sense to you. So here's a little note that I put in the PHN Plus report card, and it's a little bit disconcerting. The Penguins' top line, in fact, had more scoring chances than the rest of the team combined. That's, it wasn't even close. I think it was 11-7. Did the Penguins the Penguins top line outchance their teammates? Now, McGinn gets a goal and Heinen gets a goal, so all 3 Penguins lines scored. That's good. Especially Heinen's goal was a well-deserved goal. McGinn's goal, you make your own greasy luck sometimes. That can't continue, but that's been the case for 7 or 8 games now, in which the Penguins' top line, really since Evan Rodriguez joined the top line, they have just been all about the top line. You can get away with that now. You can get away with that on December 10th. You cannot get away with that on, when do the playoffs start this year? On May 1st or May 5th or whenever. You do not win in the playoffs with one line. Ask the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid in 7 seasons has won exactly 1 playoff series. They've been a one-line team, especially when they kind of when they merged Draisaitl and McDavid. That was the Pittsburgh Penguins for 7 years too. Actually, it's kind of interesting. 7 years was Mario Lemieux's timeline too. The Penguins were a one-line team until Ron Francis showed up, and all of a sudden, the history there. I think the Penguins are going to have to find a way to add depth scoring. As good as Heinen's numbers look, Heinen's a difficult player to really grade. The reason I say that is he's kind of a cerebral guy, but he's not always an impactful player. He just shows up and scores a goal, and you're like, where did you come from? So I think Heinen is necessarily worthy of top 9 minutes? I honestly I don't know, and I'm just being honest. I don't. His numbers say yes. When I watch the games and when this notebook here full of notes and the thousands and thousands of words I write, his name only appears when he scores. His name doesn't appear when he's not scoring, and so that's a little bit of an issue. The Penguins have to find a way to get 3 lines going that contribute offense. I guess when Malkin comes back and Carter goes down to the third line, you have to have some reasonable expectation that that will happen. But Carter's not producing a lot of offense at the moment. He had 2 goals against Seattle. I wasn't necessarily crazy about one of them, but that's one game. And then the next game, his line goes invisible again. Your second or third line guy can't just pick his spots or score every few games. You have to be a consistent generator to, I think, be successful. Because when you're generating, that means you're pressuring the other team. If you're not generating, that means they're pressuring you, and that means you're playing backwards. That means you're expending energy defending, and you don't often win like that. So I was going to wrap up here soon, but I saw, the numbers start climbing. So, hey, kids, fire away. It is the Pittsburgh Hockey Now and National Hockey Now post-game show. Dump your questions, your comments. If you have any curiosities, I thought Marino and Matheson played their best games of the season. Kapanen obviously was very good. Sidney Crosby. Every time you wonder about him, every time you're like, well, maybe, he is 34. Well, he is getting older. His wrist was surgically repaired. These are all things going on in my in my brain. I'm wondering if we watched Sidney Crosby kind of lose part of his game or lose a little bit after that wrist surgery because he was struggling, really pressing, and and then he just busts through like a madman. That's a 7-game point streak in which he has 13 points, 3 goals, and 10 assists after he had a pair tonight. Although if the Penguins have a morning skate in the morning, I can see Sidney Crosby attending the optional morning skate. Now, if they have one, I haven't checked my emails yet to see if they've blown it off. They usually do on a back-to-back. I can see Crosby on the ice tomorrow morning, full gear, standing at his own blue line, firing pucks at an empty net. This is Sidney Crosby. I can see him doing this tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. That's just the player I think we all know. The first miss that they were ribbing him about, I thought the defenseman's stick deflected it just a hair. I thought it hit like the underside of the shaft of the defenseman's stick and trickled or changed direction. Second one, he missed. Rob Shoemaker. Hey, Rob, I recognize you from the comments on PHN. Washington had an off night or Penguins were that good? Bit of both, ? Hang on, let me... do I think Washington had an off night? No, I don't think Washington had their A game, but I don't think the Penguins let them ever get into a flow. The Penguins kept them out of rhythm. And when you do that for a team for long enough, when you keep them on their heels or off balance, the game starts to go sideways. And I thought that's what happened to Washington. Did the Penguins do that entirely by themselves? Well, actually, I think what the Penguins did that surprised the Capitals were those crisp breakouts. When they got ahead of the forecheck so easily, just tick-tack, go, I think they disheveled Washington a little bit. Washington had to regroup, adjust, and by that point, they're down 1-0. And then the second period, the first 10 minutes, right? Rob, if you watch the first 10 minutes, they're closer. That was a very tight, gritty sort of 10 minutes. They were battling for control of the game. But the Penguins had that one goal in the back pocket. So when McGinn's pass goes off Kuznetsov's skate and it's 2-0, now the Capitals have to adjust their play again. Now they can't battle for control. Now they have to open it up a little bit. Now they have to go get a goal to get back in the game. And then just a couple of minutes later, when who was that? That was when Kapanen scored. So when Kapanen scores, the Penguins just get lifted up because they got Kapanen a goal. Everybody feels 6 inches taller. Everybody's on it now. And that changes the game and the mental, that ethereal part of hockey that you can't quantify, that nothing on Natural Stat Trick or Stat Muse or War on Ice or all of the old analytics sites, nothing that they can quantify. When you just have it and you're going, then you have it and go. And I thought the Penguins did that for the rest of the second period, especially after Kapanen's goal. But if that McGinn goal doesn't go in, it becomes an entirely different game because they might still be wrestling, right? At that point, you start looking at a 2-1 game or a 3-2 game either way. But when the Penguins get 2 and then 3, the Capitals can't. Rob asks, any idea when Gensel and Malkin might be back? I can tell you, Rob. Then I have to kill you. And I don't want to kill you. Well, do I want to kill you? No, probably not. Probably. No, I definitely don't. Gensel, we don't know. And the Penguins aren't exactly going to tell us, right? This is a hockey injury. And you have a better chance of getting a look at the Shroud of Turin than you do finding out information about a hockey injury, at least until the player is back. Gensel obviously blocked a shot with his hand, whether it's broken, whether it's a deep bruise or maybe some sort of sprain. We have no idea. That really could vary several weeks, right? So a deep bruise could be 2 to 3 weeks. A sprain could be 3 to 4 weeks. A break could be 4 to 6 weeks. We have no idea. And the one thing you don't want to do with Jake Gensel is have him come back a hair too soon, re-aggravate it, and deal with that for the rest of the season. You need him filling the net. So if you take an extra few days or a week to get him fully healed and get that hand right, maybe it's a wrist, you don't know, get everything going. Evgeny Malkin obviously is skating, and if I had to kind of put a timeline on Malkin, just based on how I've seen him kind of go full out-ish before practices and even in practice, he's not 100% yet. He doesn't quite have that gallop. He doesn't have that hop, that Evgeny Malkin has. So I'd put him probably like 70% right now. I don't think we're going to see Malkin until January, mid-January. Yeah, maybe early January. I figure he's going to skate probably a few more weeks. I'm thinking back to Justin Schultz, and the Penguins were sick of us asking. Yeah, I thought they should just have been telling us, okay, stop asking about Schultz. He's still a week away or whatever it is. He was a game time decision or a, whatever Sullivan would term him, day to day for a month. When Justin Schultz broke his leg and came back a couple of years ago is what I'm referencing. I kind of see Malkin in that same path. I think he needs a solid couple weeks of full go practice, at least. You're not going to see Evgeny Malkin come back, wearing a full contact jersey on Tuesday and play on Wednesday. You're going to see him full contact, full go in practice for weeks. So I'm going to put another 4 to 6 weeks on Malkin as well. Long-winded answer, but I wanted to explain everything that I know. It's kind of what I do for everybody, right? That's what I try to do anyway. Try to kind of download everything that I acquire and pass it on to you. All right, last call for questions here. We've done 44 minutes, and I want to get on with watching more hockey. This is actually coffee. This is, I must, I wish I could go for a beer. Man, I'm kind of missing it. But I've had a couple beers in the last couple weeks, and just COVID messed with me just a little bit. Obviously, I'm not. I'm not in any danger. I'm not in any trouble. I'm not, I'm not suffering in any way. But the post symptoms have sometimes been worse than the actual symptoms. So, occasional vertigo and the fatigue. Whew. Tonight at 5:00, I sat down to do my game prep, and I kid you not, by 5:15, I was asleep, passed out. Just it kind of just hits you, and you're like, I'm not going to sleep. I'll have some coffee. I can't tell you the number of times I have found a coffee mug full of coffee on my Keurig that I just forgot about because I fell asleep or whatever it is. And beer not kind of hits me too, whether my blood pressure is a little bit low or whatever it is. I'm not a doctor, and I don't need to be one. I'll just take their word for it. So here you go. Last call. Put your questions in. I'll give you another 30 seconds here. And otherwise, do me a favor. Check that link for Pittsburgh Hockey Now and PHN Plus. I'd love if you joined us for that $19.99. Hey, it makes a great Christmas present too. I don't know. If people can buy each other Lexuses for Christmas, I suppose you can buy somebody a PHN Plus subscription. By the way, did you all check the note at the bottom of Dan's Daily today? One of our subscribers, and she's a wonderful hockey fan, Melissa Hart, announced her intention to run for PA governor over the weekend. Philadelphia Inquirer caught up with her, did the story, and she didn't play coy. She threw her hat into the ring. We're incredibly excited. We know Melissa. I vouch wholeheartedly for her character, her integrity and honesty and all of that. I think she would be an amazing governor. Certainly not the anyway, certainly not what we've been subjected to in Pennsylvania for quite some time. And I'll leave it at that. I think she'd be certainly a cut above and get some good things done without being obnoxious, without being kind of one of those crazy people. She's the adult in the room, and I'm happy to call her a friend and happy to endorse her for governor. Okay, I appreciate you all. That does it for the last call. I think we've had a good chat. So get your skates on, strap on the foil, and we'll see you out there. All right, have fun. We'll talk tomorrow.